Who has ever had a wet nightmare? If that is even possible, what was it that made it a nightmare? I was a teen girl at the time, maybe 13 years ago. I was having intercourse with a female, I'm straight. And get this, I was the one with a penis. But my penis did not thrust in and out of her. It just kinda stretched when I did move my hips backward. Like stretched comically thin and long. I woke up with that vague feeling that I may have actually been moaning in my sleep. Oh. And I was sleeping next to my mother that night. So when I was younger lad just hitting puberty, I was staying at my mom's house on some school break. It was a very creepy old house and I always thought it was haunted. I still vividly remember getting woken up by getting a BJ by some ghostly lady in a white wedding dress. Pretty sure it was sleep paralysis wet dream. I do not want to experience that ever again. Happened when I was 13. In the dream I was under my desk looking for something I dropped and turn around to get out from under the desk and end it from the TV show. Chowder is sitting in my desk chair making me now stuck under my desk. I'm compelled to start eating her out as I realize I have to do this if I want to get out from under the desk. She is not forcing me or anything, but I really do not want to be doing it and start crying. I wake up and feel really nauseous and anxious about the whole thing. Sometimes it takes a disturbing oral sex dream with a cartoon character to really come to terms with your homosexuality. Once before waking up, when I was slightly aware of my surroundings, but unable to move, I dreamt that I was a girl and was being raped by someone I could not see, while still knowing I was in my room and unable to move. I'm a guy. Managed to fully wake myself up eventually. It was actually one of the worst dreams I remember. Once not too long ago I dreamed I was lying naked in my bed with some unknown woman. She kept wanting sex, but I kept telling her I was married, so we could not. I was trying to keep her at a distance with my hand on her shoulder. Then I woke up, and my hand was on my wife's shoulder pushing her away. She was fast asleep. I was actually pretty proud of myself for not giving in to her in my dream, as much as I wanted to. Not exactly a nightmare, but yeah. Had a dream once that I was cheating on my GF and then got caught. Proceeded to be publicly humiliated and shamed by her and the rest of my family because of my unfaithfulness. Weirdest part was that I do not have a GF in real life. Not so much of a nightmare, but a regret. I dreamed that I was at the dentist, lying in the chair, and she told me that I had to perform an act for humanity, and she left. Optimus Prime came in and ducked me somehow. I have no answer for the logistics of it. I remember being very horny, but wishing it was Megatron. I'm not even a Transformers fan. I gave in to the embarrassment to admit the dream to my husband the next day. Too funny to keep inside. He agreed that it totally should have been Megatron. So much dirtier. We had good sex that day, my friends. It was 3 days ago. It was Kim Kardashian, but she had a penis. Started off really hot, but then a gorilla came in and ripped Kim's face off, and she just kept going. She was on top ducking me. I was looking at all the muscles and veins in her face and her blood was dripping on my face. Have you never had an ex that you hate? Having forced dream makeup sex is among the worst things. You are turned on, but at the same time you emotionally hate every second of it. You wake up all sweaty, with bad thoughts, and you are horny. It is a bad combo. Now that is an array of emotions. How do you keep it up knowing you hate her? I do not. I dumped her ass for a reason. But love, dependence and attraction are different, and it is hard to keep them apart at times. On one hand I hate her for being a piece of shit to me. On another I need her because she has become a source of reliable comfort over the years, and on top of that I'm still attracted to her. It is a difficult battle, but I choose to go with my feelings. She is bad. I do not want anything to do with her, but my inner animal disagree, and ergo dreams like these happen. I do not know any other way to explain it. Yes, did not know women could have wet dreams until I had one. It started as a dream, but ended up as sleep paralysis, where I was raped by a demon and actually came. Very strange thing to wake up to. Not very nice. I also have a nightmare like that. It happened in a forest. But when it was not a weird shaped with 6 arms demon, it was something like the Slenderman with tentacles and a very long tongue and a big creepy mouth with sharp teeth. It always got me, no matter how much I tried to escape. I had a dream where I was turned into a girl and put in a farm for milking. Except the milk was honey. The nightmare part of it is mostly the farm bit. I do not enjoy the idea of doing nothing but stand in place for the rest of my life. I know a lot of people have that fetish. I have seen plenty of art, but I'm not one of them. Note, I'm a completely cis het male. The viscosity of honey is absolutely the worst part of that to me. I have got sensory issues as it is. I did rather drown than ever know the feeling of honey coming out of or going into any orifice other than my mouth. Especially nipples. That may just be the worst ones for it to come out of. I'm a guy, so I have never had anything come out me. Nips, and I'm not likely to in the future. But I feel like I just know what it would feel like to have honey sucked out of them, and I think hate does not even begin to describe how I feel about this. I also have a strong fear of the kind of confinement that would be needed for that kind of thing too. Overall, I rate your nightmare the worst one I have seen so far. A lot of the others I would just find insanely gross, but this situation would actually upset me something fierce. And now that I have ended up talking about how much I despise the idea of being milked for honey, perhaps it is time I put down my phone and stop using the internet for today. A long time ago I had a dream in which, in a post-apocalyptic scenario, my mom was evil and sold me and my brother, but not my in real life brother, into slavery to some cult. And we were both taken into a gym room and raped by the other kids' teens in the cult's initiation. I fought my attackers off, but could not get into the other room to save my brother. Yes, I was aroused by the acts, but I still fought them. Dream brother showed up in other nightmares periodically thereafter, a lot of which involved a similar scenario, either being abandoned by our adults or being threatened with rape. I always tried my best to save him, but it rarely worked. And sometimes I did not manage to fight off my rapists either. After many years I dreamt he was a junior in high school and told me he could make it on his own from now on. And I figured I would never dream of him again. Then I had a nightmare he was abducted by evil Mads Mikkelsen and kept for several weeks, tortured, until he managed to overpower his captor, dump him out of an airplane, and escape to Denmark. And that is the last time I dreamt of him. So far, I feel terrible that even in his good ending he still had to go through that. Even though he is not actually a real person. I don't know. Imagine one day, you get an anonymous email from someone with only specific coordinates and a text that says, "I'm in Denmark. Come see me." So you for some reason do it out of curiosity, and when you get there you are about to board a bus to take you to the place from the airport, and you suddenly feel a hand on your shoulder and a voice that say, "I never thought you would come." No double meaning intended. So you turn around and there he is. Your brother. You suddenly in that moment realize that your subconscious had, due to the trauma connected to your brother, caused you to totally lose all memories of your brother, and that all those dreams were not dreams but reality. I actually had a dream last night that my wife pulled me into our bedroom to have sex. She got naked and laid on the bed and dreamed me as like, yes, but then wife in dream just started shitting. Still trying to get me to join in sexy time. And dream me is like trying to be nice and subtly mention maybe she needs to go to the bathroom. Like she doesn't realize she is peeing out of her butt all over the bed. Then I woke up in a poop free bed. So that was nice. I had a wet nightmare once in my early 20s. I was being chased by something, but had no idea what it was. I knew that if it caught me, I was going to die. So I was running my ass off up a steep hill. The hill kept getting steeper and steeper until I could not run up it anymore. To keep going, I grabbed the grass and used it to keep climbing up the hill until I reached the top. When I got to the top, I turned around and discovered I was running from a dragon, which promptly opened its mouth and lunged at me. I woke up with a start right before it killed me and came. It was very confusing. I had a dream where this man had a remote he was gonna use to blow the world up. I was working with him, but I hid the remote and he started to torture the information out of me, but it just turned into ducking. He was attractive though, so it wasn't he overly terrible. But I did wake up and think lowly of myself. 10 would dream again. Especially if I didn't wake up during the sex this time around. It was with an orc. I had read some erotic lit centered around orcs earlier in the day, and it showed up in my nightmare. It was kind of a fine balance between getting smashed and smashed to death in the nightmare, if you know what I mean. I had one when I was about 12. I was on the edge of the puberty and could not yet understand all the feelings inside me. I remember that in the dream I was running from some kind of monster in a labyrinth. That was the nightmare part, which is kind of usual for me. But in this dream, for some reason, at one point I could face the monster and I could also transform into one. This transformation came with a feeling of catharsis and satisfaction, meaning that I also came. I woke up very confused. I used to get the same nightmare like one night a week from the age of 14 until 20. It would start off as a wet dream. Just standard teen stuff, but it would always end in cannibalism. I got used to the graphic images in these dreams until one time I had a dream about an orgy. It was like a scene of a horror movie. Like 10, 15 people just tearing flesh off of each other. I think that one scarred me for life, Picasso. Since then I always get anxious or aggressive after sex. As a teen I had a dream where I had sex with a praying mantis with tits. I didn't wake up wet, but proceeded to masturbate to the idea anyways. Having sex with a giant bug counts as a nightmare, even if you spank it later. Right. Around the same time I also remember dreaming Lisa Bonet was my sister. In my dream we didn't care, and had sex. Still didn't wake up wet. Same deal. Spanked it to her when I woke up. It was nice humping and kissing with a sexy woman, but when moved downward to suck breasts and there were 3 bouncy jugs, suddenly realized I'm in a dream, tried to wake up, and woke up standing in front of mirror, and when I tried to look at myself in mirror she suddenly appeared behind me, this time with ugly face. So I was double dreaming, but this second one terrified me, and finally woke up to reality. Getting raped in your dreams is not nice. Especially while getting torn to shreds and having your limbs crushed by some dark shadowy entity that is very keen on killing you the most gruesome way possible and painful. Though most of my wet nightmares leave me sore for days after, and even occasionally with precious scars along my body, even scratches, sometimes even waking up to a nosebleed. I had one where Pippi Longstocking was trying to drown me in my local YMCA pool, where I was a regular as a kid. She never needed to come up for air, moved like some kind of shark. I would kick her in the face hard, try to climb up and out and just get yanked back down again and again. Weird dream that made me wake up sweating. So for backstory, I have to read the Divine Comedy in my school. For those of you who do not know, it is a trilogy of books written by the Italian poet Dante Alighieri in the 13th-14th century. Very important in Italy. In these books he gives a detailed description of what Inferno, heck, Purgatory and Paradise, heaven. Each book is titled after one of these realms. Now this is important in Inferno. Dante describes Inferno as a cone going into the earth, which is split up into 9 rings. Each ring represents a certain sin, and the sins derive from the 7 deadly sins, an extra sin he created plus the repetition of one of the sins. Look up Botticelli's map of heck. He paints it very nicely. Paradise, on the other hand, is split into spheres. 9 spheres in total. Before reaching Empyrean, where God is, each sphere represents a certain Christian value or action. I.e. one sphere are for soldiers who died fighting for God, like crusaders. One is for divine love to God, etc. In my dream I found myself in this park-like environment. There was a willow tree next to a river, and the river had a bridge going over it. It was foggy as well, and it was hard to see. Right about the bridge area, my grandmother appeared. I do not remember what we were talking about, but at one point I asked her in my dream, "Are we in paradise?" Her answer was yes, we are in paradise. Specifically, we are on the sphere of Gieri in Ascenza or Ignoranza. Something in Italian. It makes no sense, as it is not an actual word, nor is it a listed sphere. However, in my dream, the sphere represented the people who were selfless in life. Before I could ask her anymore, I somehow appeared in a city somewhere in the desert in the US. Do not ask me how I got from that to that, but I woke up sweating cause I thought my grandma died, and I just got a peek of what heaven looked like. Had a dream that my girlfriend at the time was getting her cowgirl on. and she suddenly grew fangs and turned into a vampire succubus with wings etc. and was trying to bite me. That turned into a night terror where I woke up and couldn't move. And at the same time she evidently woke up and leaned over, so as I wake proper all I see her leaning over me. She was a nightmare in general though. So, actually, I sometimes wonder if it was a dream. I sometimes dream about being molested or raped and being involuntarily aroused by it. I'm fairly certain I had a few sleep orgasms over the years too, but I could really do without it. When I wake up I either start crying immediately and am in a terribly fragile emotional state, or I mechanically finish it myself to get it out of my system and then shove it away. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.